Hey guys, welcome back again to the channel and to another video. Before I get started, let me say happy holidays. I really hope you guys have nice holidays, have nice Christmas and a happy new year. It's a difficult time, we have a pandemic still going on, and I hope all of you are safe, and I wish you really all the best for 2021. Starting this week until the first week of January, I will post one video per week. So I'm gonna take off a little bit also from the camera and from the computer, just to spend a little bit more time with my family. Now, this is a video which has been requested since a long time, and I'm really sorry that it took so long to do it. This is gonna be the basic installation of Gentoo. Now, let me be clear here, this is gonna be the basic installation and base installation only. That means in this video, we are going to install Gentoo from scratch, but I'm not going to install the desktop environment. And that's because eventually I'm gonna do this in another video. Installing the base takes some time, and also to record the video itself, it takes also a little time because the packages need to be compiled. So if I would be installing also the desktop environment, also the recording session for the video will be a little bit too long. So this is the base install of Gentoo, and eventually next year I'm gonna do another video to show you how you can install the desktop environment. Anyway, let's dive into the terminal and install Gentoo. Hi guys, welcome back again to a new video. So here we are going to install Gentoo. This is gonna be quite a longer video, but especially for me because I'm installing this live and I will have to let the computer work when we are compiling packages. So just a few words before we get started. This is gonna be I will try to simplify the installation as much as I can. I'm gonna follow the Gentoo handbook, which I definitely recommend you to do as well. The Gentoo handbook has several instructions for different architectures, and I can show you here. This one is for the AMD 64, which I'm using because I'm installing actually here Gentoo on my laptop through SSH, and I'm going to show you in a second how you could do that via SSH. So it basically consists of several chapters, and I'm not going to go through all of them in detail, otherwise it's never going to end this video. I'm just going to give you a few points, and then you will have to take it from there. I'm gonna maybe do some other videos in the future about Gentoo, but for now this is everything what I can do. Now we are going to install here Gentoo just for the base system, so we are not going to install any desktop environment or anything else, otherwise the video is going to be way too long. And if you're installing this, I definitely recommend you to try it out first on a virtual machine, and I would recommend you to try out VirtualBox because it has already several modules that will be automatically compiled in Gentoo, whereas if you use KVM, it's a little bit trickier. So what you could try to do, you could try to install it on VirtualBox, and then you can clone eventually the base install and then try maybe to install some other things like desktop environments on top of that. But at least that you have a good base install or a healthy base install that you can start with. So if I move down here again to the terminal, so what I did here in the laptop when I booted up from the live CD that you can download, I typed in passwd to give a password to the root user, and then I enabled SSHD on the live CD by typing in /etc/init and then SSHD start. Then once you hit enter, SSH will start, and then you can connect with through the terminal via SSH root at your IP, which we're going to look in a second. Enter the password and you will be connected via SSH. Now, internet here, it's a little tricky. I definitely recommend you to try this out. Well, if you are in VirtualBox, you will have anyway an IP, but if you're trying it on a desktop or on a Wi-Fi or on a laptop, try it with an Ethernet cable, because Wi-Fi it's a little trickier. The minimal install ISO does not provide WPA supplicant. It's not a big deal. You could go ahead and download it, but if you want to just get started in installing Gentoo, especially if you are new with the distro, try with a cable if you're installing this on metal. On VirtualBox it's not a problem, but if you're installing this on metal, I definitely recommend you a cable. It's faster anyway, and it's most of the time working out of the box. So let's get started here. And like I said, the first two chapters are explaining you about the manual, and also about choosing the right installation medium. In this manual here, as it says here, this chapter explains how to install Gentoo using the minimal installation CD, which is the one I have here. And the third chapter here is about configuring the network. Now, in most of the cases, as it says here as well, it's probably just working out of the box if you have an Ethernet cable. If not, it explains you here how you can troubleshoot or what you can try to do to get your Ethernet cable working. Now, the handbook here in Gentoo on the Gentoo website is excellent. It's really clear. It's very easy to understand. You need to, of course, have some certain knowledge, but it's very understandable in a technical language, so to say. And down here, it explains you also how you can configure Wi-Fi somewhere. Let me see. I think I saw it here. There you go. Preparing for wireless access. So you need to find out your Wi-Fi adapter name, bring up the interface here, and then you can connect to a network using this command. And if you have a hex WEP key, you can use this command. And for this kind of WEP key, you can use this command. However, as it says here, if the wireless network is set up using WPA or WPA2, then you need WPA supplicant, which is not actually included in this ISO, and it refers you to basically to another page where you can see how you can use that. So the next step, if you go forward here, then it shows you also how you can configure the route if you need to do that, and also the name servers. Now I'm going to skip these because I'm not going to use them anyway, and we can go to preparing the disk. Now, here is explaining you all the various scenarios, how you can partition the disk with GPT labels, DOS labels, which programs you can use, parted, fdisk, and so on. Now, I'm going to make this concise. I'm going to use gdisk to create my partitions because my laptop is a UEFI system. And I'm going to create 3 partitions. One EFI is mandatory, a swap partition, and a root partition, which is also mandatory. And we are going to format them. This is all there is in this chapter of the handbook, concisely said. I mean, there are, of course, many more informations, but I don't want to make it too long, and it should be enough for a basic install anyway. So let's go ahead and go into the terminal and type in lsblk. So you can see this laptop has 128 gigabytes of SSD, so fine there. We can go ahead and use gdisk to create our partition. So let's do that. Let's type in gdisk/dev/sda and hit enter. Now let's type in n for new, and the default number 1 partition is fine. First sector here is also fine, and the last sector defines the size of the EFI partition. In my case, I'm going to create, let's say, 200 megabytes EFI partition and hit enter. And I need to tell the system this is a EFI system type partition, so I'll type in the code is EF00 in gdisk. And now we can create the swap partition. So n for new. Default number 2 is fine. First sector is also fine. The last sector defines the size. Now this laptop has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm gonna create, I think a 4 gigabytes is gonna be enough in my case. So I'm just gonna type in +4G and hit enter. And the code for the swap is 8200. And there we go. And now we can create our root partition. So that's easy. So n for new, partition 3 is fine, first sector is fine, and the last sector is also fine because it's the remainder of the disk. The file system type is also fine. So we can just hit enter. And there you go. We can write the changes to the disk by typing W and confirming by typing Y and hit enter. There you go. And let's be okay. We have our 3 partitions there. There you go. Now let's format them. So the EFI partition needs to be formatted with a FAT file system because it's an EFI partition. Swap, we need to make it and activate it, and then I'm going to format the root partition at the end. So let's begin with SDA1. So mkfs.fat-f32 and then /dev/sda1. Until here, the installation procedure with Arch is not really much different. And hit enter. Then let's make the swap on SDA2. So mkswap. And then /dev/sda2 and hit enter. And we can activate the swap, so swap on /dev/sda2 and hit enter. Now SDA3, our root partition, so mkfs, make file system. I'm gonna use this time ext4. And then /dev/sda3 and hit enter. There you go, partitioning and formatting is done. lsblk again And now let's go back to the manual. And here again, I need to scroll through. We did already all of this. These you have a lot of instructions about all the file systems available that you can format. And the last part of this chapter is mounting the root partition. So we are mounting STA3 in our case to mount Gentoo. So let's do that. Let's go to the terminal and type in mount /dev/STA3 to /mnt/Gentoo and hit enter. There you go. So go back to the manual and let's go to installing Stage3. So this is where things are getting interesting. So important here is to set the date. As it says here, a misconfigured clock might lead to strange results. So better to check this out by typing in the terminal date. And I can see 2:33. That's fine for me. That's the time here. So we can go back to the manual. And if you don't have the correct time, you can set this with this command here, or you can set it also manually with the date command and then specifying the date manually. Next, we need to move into the Gentoo mount point that we just did before. So let's go there. Let's type in cd/mnt. Oops, I hit caps lock here, mnt, and then Gentoo, and hit enter. And now we are in our Gentoo directory. So what we need to do next? We need to basically download our tarball, the Stage3 tarball. So there are many ways to do this. I'm going to use a command line browser and I'm going to use links. So I'm going to use basically these commands here, links, https, to basically go to a mirror. Links is basically a browser, it's a text browser that you can use in the command line. So let's go there in the terminal and type in links, https://www gentoo.org/downloads/mirrors and hit enter. So let's hit OK here. And we need to scroll down with the arrow keys. We scroll down here. We go to the list of countries where the mirrors are. And I'm going to select the one closest to me. I don't have actually Switzerland. So I'm going to select Germany in my case, which is here. And let's see, I'm going to select one. I don't think it matters really that much. Let's select this one here. And here I'm going to go to releases. And I'm going to select my architecture, which is AMD 64. And then auto builds. And then we are going to go to the stage 3. And I'm going to choose the vanilla stage 3. So not Arden, no systemd. I'm going to just choose the normal stage 3 installation tar. So I'm just going to hit enter here. And I'm going to select this one right here, Stage 3 AMD 64, and then the build number, which was actually on the 2nd of December, I see. And then we could just hit enter. And yes, I want to save it. And yes, I'm going to hit OK. And I think this is already done. This server was extremely fast. Sometimes it takes a couple of seconds, but this one was really fast. Okay, so let's go back here by hitting Q and hit yes. And if I type in ls here, there you go, we have our stage 3. Perfect. So let's go back to the manual. What do we need to do now? We need to, well, we could check the signature, but I'm going to skip this step. We basically need to unpack the stage tarball. So let me do this. Let's go back to the terminal. And let's type in tar and xpvf and then stage 3 and then an asterisk to select the whole thing here. Actually, I could have hit the tab keys, was completed automatically. Then we have two options we need to specify according to the handbook. One is --x --include equal single quote asterisk dot asterisk single quote, and the other one is --numeric -owner. Now, what these options do? Well, I'm reading here also here on another screen, because I'm not familiar with all of these options. So the first one is to include preservation of the extended attributes in all namespaces stored in the archive. And the last one, the numeric owner, is used to ensure that the user group and group IDs of the file being extracted from the tarball will remain the same as Gentoo's release engineering team intended. That's it. So then we can hit enter. So this is going to take a couple of seconds to extract. There you go. So let's clean up our terminal. And let's go back to the manual. So this is done. So what we need to do now, configuring the compile options. Okay, this is something very important. Right, we need to configure the C flags and the CXX flags and also the make opts flag, if I'm not mistaken, the make opts options actually, in the make.com file, which is used by Portage, the package manager for Gentoo. So I'll make this very quick and easy, as easy as I can, or if you can say it so. I'm going to use this option here, then march native. So basically, the system is going to try to guess the architecture automatically. And for the make opts, we are basically specifying with how many cores the system can work with. So I'm working with 4 cores here, so I'm going to basically put in a 4 instead of a 2 at the end, but we're going to do this in a second. So we need to edit this file. So let's go back to the terminal and let's type in nano, which is the editor here, -w, then /mnt/gentoo /etc and /portage and then make.conf and hit enter. So as I said, I'm going down here to the common flags and I'm going to insert here a dash and then type in march, march, better said, equal native and a space. And then on the last line here, I'm going to type in make opt equal double quotes -J4 because I want to use the whole 4 cores of the machine and close the double quotes. And then we can save the file with Control O and enter and exit with Control X. And there you go. Let's go back to the terminal, to the manual, sorry. So we did this. Let's go back. Let's go down here. So this is done, basically ready, set, go. So we need to now install the base system. That sounds exciting. Let's go to installing the base system. So selecting the mirrors. I will do this because I don't want to spend too much time downloading packages when it's not necessary. So we need to perform this command. So we are going to tell basically, we are going to select the mirrors for our installation basically. So let's go to the terminal and let me check here on my screen so that I have always a second screen that I can read the commands because I don't remember by memory. So let's type in mirror select and then -i-o. And we are going to append this under /mnt/gentoo /etc/portage and then make.conf again and hit enter. And let's see, I'm going to select some of the mirrors in the country closest to me. I'm going to select again Germany. So I'm going to select a couple of these, maybe this one, and this one, a couple of more maybe. This one and this one. There you go. And hit OK. Okay, this is done. There is a small text glitch here, but I think this is because of SSH. Not a problem. So let's clean up the terminal and go back to the manual. So we selected the mirrors. Now, second important step is in selecting mirrors is to configure the Gentoo ILB repository via this gentoo.conf file that we need to create by copying a file which is already in the ISO. Okay, so we need to create this directory, the repos.conf directory, and then we need to copy this repos.conf file into this repos.conf directory, which is called then gentoo.conf. All right, so let's go to the terminal. So let's type in mkdir-p and then /mnt/gentoo/etc/portage/repos.conf. This is the directory we need to create. And then we'll copy by cp/mnt/gentoo/user/share/portage/config and then repos.conf. And we're going to copy this file under /mnt/gentoo/etc/portage/repos.conf and the file is going to be called gentoo.conf. There you go, and we can hit enter. So this is done. Let's go back to the manual and let's see what's next. So we can copy also the DNS info, so the resolve, basically the resolve.conf file. So we need to use this command here. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go back to the terminal and type in cp -- reference and etc/resolve.conf. And we are going to copy this under /mnt / Gentoo / etc. There you go, and hit enter. Now we have some mount points to take care of, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have these mount points that we have to take care manually before we can enter the environment. So basically chrooting. So let's go back to the terminal and type the first mount point. So let's type in mount -t for type. Then the proc is the type. The directory is /proc. And we're going to mount this under /mnt /gentoo /proc. And hit enter. Then we have an rbind command. So let's type in mount --rbind and /sys. And we're gonna rbind this under /mnt /gentoo /sys and hit enter. Now we have an rslave command, I think, so we can type in mount --make -rslave and then /mnt /gentoo /sys and hit enter. Now we need to rbind the dev directory, so mount --rbind /dev, and we're gonna do this under /mnt /gentoo /dev and hit enter. And we'll repeat the rslave command, so mount --make -rslave and /mnt /gentoo /dev and hit enter. So this is done. Let's go back to our manual and see what's next. So we can skip this because we are using actually installation media from Gentoo. We need to enter the environment. So we have a chroot command, a source profiling, and we need to export the PS1 prompt. So let's do that. So first, let's type in chroot. And we need to chroot into /mount /gentoo. And we're going to use /bin /bash and hit enter. Now we need to create the login prompt. So let's type in, well, first we need to source the profile. So source /etc /profile and hit enter. And now we can make the prompt by typing in export ps1 equal double quotes, parenthesis, chroot, closing parenthesis, $ curly brace ps1, closing the curly brace and closing the double quotes. And then we can hit enter. There you go. That looks good. Let's clean out the terminal and go back to the manual. Okay, so we need to mount the boot partition, which was SDA1 in our case. So let's do that. Let's go back to the terminal. So let's type in mount /dev /SDA1, and we're going to mount this under /boot and hit enter. So let's go back to the terminal. I think now it's time to configure Portage, the package manager. So first, we need to use emerge web rsync. Okay, this is actually for people who are behind a restrictive firewall and saves network bandwidth. Okay, this will fetch the latest snapshots from the Gentoo mirrors and install it into Gentoo. Oh, I'm gonna do this. So let's go back and type in emerge -web rsync and hit enter. So this is gonna take a second to make also the snapshot. So I'm gonna look again at the manual. And this is optional, updating the Gentoo build repository. I'm not gonna do that afterwards. I'm gonna choose the profile for my installation. That looks good. So let's go back to the terminal and see if it's finished. Okay, it's finished. So we can clean this up. And so we can type in eSelect profile list to list the profiles available. So let's do that. eSelect profile list. And let's see, this is a long list here. Where am I? So I have already, by default, the first one here, default Linux AMD 6471. The asterisk means is the default one. If you want to change that, I believe you need to type in eSelect profile set and then the profile you want. So you could type in eSelect profile set 2, for example. In my case, it's 1 already. Doesn't matter, I'll type it again. And so this is important because, as it says here, the profile is a building block for any Gentoo system. Not only does specify default values for use and C flags and other important variables, it also locks the system to a certain range of package versions. So it's important to choose. In this case, I'm going to choose the default one, but if you are choosing, for example, desktop GNOME, or you want to install later maybe a KDE, then you need to change profile. However, this is a base install, so the first one for me is fine. And then we need to update the at world set. So at this point, it's wise to update the system at world set so that the base can be established. So let's do this by typing in these commands. So let's type in emerge --ask --verbose --update --deep and then --new use and then at world, and then we can hit enter. So this is gonna take a second here, I think, to calculate. Do you want to merge these packages? Yes. Okay, this I think is gonna take a little while because it's emerging 31 packages. So I think it's coffee time for me, guys, and I'll see you back later. So it took some time, but now the packages were installed basically. So we can clean up the terminal and go back to the manual and see what we need to do now. Now we need to configure the use variables. Okay, this is a step that I'm gonna skip because I'm not gonna install any desktop environment in here, but if you're planning to do that, then you will definitely have to look through it, and it's gonna give you some example. For example, here, if you are installing something like GNOME, then you will need to specify this parameter here and specify these that you don't wanna use KDE. And so on. Eventually, I'm going to create another video for this, but I'm going to skip this, otherwise it's going to take too long. So configuring the license at the moment, I will skip this. I'm not using systemd as an init system, so I can skip this step. And we can work now on the time zone. So select the time zones for your system. You can look for time zones in the zone info here, and then we need to write them in the time zone file. So you basically search your time zone in here, and then you can, with the echo command, you can basically create this time zone. So this is what I'm going to do because I know already my time zone. So let me go back here to the terminal, and I'm going to type in echo, then double quotes, Europe, and the city is Zurich for Switzerland, and close the double quotes. And I'm going to create this to etc/time zone and hit enter. There you go. So what do we have next? We have next configure the syslibs time zone data package. Okay, so we need to perform that command basically. So let's do that. Let's type in emerge --config sys-libs/time zone -data and hit enter. So this took a second. There you go. Let's clean up the terminal and move on. I think now we need to work on the locales, actually. I think I remember that. So we have the locale.gem file. So let's type in nano-w and then /etc/locale.gen. This is like in Arch, basically. And we need to specify which locale we want to use. So in my case, I'm going to use actually the English US. So I'm going to type in here. The first one is en_US. And I'm going to specify also the ISO-8859-1 and also en_us.utf-8 and then again UTF-8. I think this is going to do it for me, so I'm just going to save this file. And now we can type in locale-gen to create, -gen to create the locales. So it's going to take a second to do that. There you go. All right, so let's go to our manual one more time. Let's see what we have to do still for the locales. Locale-gen, locale selection. So eSelect locale list. All right, let's do that. So eSelect locale list and hit enter. So what we need to do here, we need to select the profile. So I'm going to select actually the UTF-8. So I'm going to type in eSelect locale set, and the number is 6 in my case, and hit enter. There you go. Now we need to reload, if I'm not mistaken, the environment. So to do this, we need to type in env-update, and we're going to perform another command, which is source/etc/profile, which was recommended actually here. And the last command we are going to run is also export, because we need to export again the prompt ps1 equal double quotes parenthesis chroot closing parenthesis $, curly brace ps1 curly brace and closing the double quotes. And I think that's it, so we can hit enter. Oh, I see what I did here. That's a mistake actually. I need to add another and here, otherwise it's not going to work. There you go. So let's clean up the terminal here and let's proceed to the next step, which I think it's configuring the kernel. So we have two choices in Gentoo. We can configure the kernel basically manually by installing the sources, or we can use the second option, which is somewhere down here, if I'm not mistaken, which is using genkernel. Now, genkernel is basically installing the kernels available, and then it's going to do everything automatically. Now, this is really up to you how you want to do it. I'm not going to create this kernel manually because it's just going to take me too long. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to install the sources, and then I'm going to use genkernel to install the kernel anyway. Maybe I'm going to do another video about installing this manual, but for this video, I'm going to focus on genkernel. So first, let's install the sources. So we need to perform this command here. So let's type in emerge --ask sys-kernel /gentoo-sources and hit enter. So let's see, merge the packages, yes, and hit enter. So these are 4 packages. It's gonna take maybe a couple of minutes. Anyway, I'll let it do its thing, and I'll be back with you guys in a second. So there you go, I'm back, and let's clean up the terminal. Let's see what the manual says. We need to, well, we can check that the sources are there by typing in this command here. Let's check this out. Let's type in ls-l, and that was /users/sources basically, and then Linux, and hit enter. And I can see it's there. Yeah, that's perfect. So we can go back to our manual. Now, as I said, I'm not gonna do this manually in this video. I'm just gonna use the gen kernel. I'm sorry if I disappoint some of you guys who are expecting maybe that I do this manually, but it's just gonna take too much time in this video. I'm gonna do maybe another video about it. So for using gen kernel, as it says here, if a manual configuration looks too daunting, then using gen kernel is recommended. It will configure and build the kernel automatically. So probably if you are a first-time Gentoo user or you're not so used to Gentoo, probably this is the best way to go. So what we need to do here, we need to first install genkernel, and we need to add the boot partition to the fstab file, and then we run genkernel all. So let's do this. Let's first go with this command. Let's go back to the terminal here, and let's type in emerge --ask sys-kernel /genkernel and hit enter. So again, accept the changes, that's fine. And as you can see, actually something is not working here. It says there is something to do with the license. It might have been with something that I skipped before, but we can actually update this by typing in etc-update and hit enter. And let's see, the following in the list in the configuration file is followed by a possible replacement file. So please select a file to edit by entering the corresponding number. Don't use 3579 if you are unsure what to do. So I think what I need to do here is to actually type in 1, because that's the one I need. And hit Q here. And replace the original with the update. So I'm going to type in 1. And there you go. Exciting, nothing left to do. Exciting. Super. So let's clean up the terminal and basically rerun the genkernel command here. And let's merge the packages. This time it looks good. So again, this is going to take some time to merge. We have 4 packages to merge here. So guys, I'll be back with you in a second. So it took a little while, but we are done. So let's clean up the terminal here and go back to our manual. So what we need to do now, we need to edit the fstab file to include our boot partition, which we did actually before, but we need to put it in the fstab file. So this is actually quite simple. Let's do this in the terminal. Let's type in nano -w and then /etc/fstab and hit enter. So let's go down here at the end of the file. Well, we have already some examples there, but I'm gonna use what we have in the system. So I'm gonna type in here /dev/sta1. The mount point is /boot. The file system type is vfat. The options are default. And here the file system checks are 0 and 0. I think it's recommended in the 0 and 2. Okay. And then we can save the file and exit nano. Although this is actually something that I would not normally do. I would probably use the UUID of the partition, but I'll keep it simple here. It's a base install. It should be actually working fine. So let's go back to our manual. Okay, now this we have now the command which is going to take some time to perform, the gen kernel all. So let's go into the terminal again and type in gen kernel and then all and hit enter. So let's wait here, and I can see it start already initializing and building the kernel. So this step is going to take some time, depending also on the machine you have. So go for a walk, go for a coffee, take a break, and you will take some time, and then when it's finished, you will see it. I will wait also. I'm going to go for a walk maybe, and I'll see you guys back later. So here we go, guys. So it took about maybe 20 minutes in my machine here to generate the kernel. So let's go ahead and see what we need to do next. So let me check here, specific kernel. We don't actually need this. If I might miss something here. Okay. Okay, this is still the manual installation. Then we have gen kernel. Okay, building using distribution kernels. We don't need this. Kernel modules, we can skip this step, and because this is mostly going to work. And optional installing firmware. Okay, I'm gonna do this in my laptop. I know this is useful. So we can install the Linux firmware package. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to our terminal here and clean it up. And let's type in emerge --ask and then sys-kernel /linux-firmware. And I think we can hit enter. So yes, let's accept the merge. And it's one package, so it shouldn't take too long here. Let's go back to the manual and see what we need to do next. Configuring the system. So let's go ahead and do that. So that means we have to create our mount points in the fstab file. Usually I would do this with the UUIDs, but this video is complicated enough, I think, or it's long enough, better said. So I think I'm just gonna use the partition names. Now, this is something that I normally wouldn't do, but to make the video a little bit easier and shorter, I'm gonna do this. So if you're installing this and you wanna use the installation, definitely do this with the UUIDs, it's safer. So what we need to do here, we need to mount the boot directory, it's already there. We need to mount the swap partition and the root partition. So let's do that. Let's go into the terminal again, which is already done. So let's clean out the terminal and let's type in nano -w and then /etc/fstab and hit enter. We'll go down and this is the boot partition is already there. So I'm going to insert the swap partition, which is SDA2. So /dev/SDA2. The mount point is none because it doesn't have any. The file system type is swap. The options, I'm going to put defaults and 0 and 0 for the swap partition and /dev/SDA3 for the root partition. The mount point is the /. The file system type is ext4. And the options, I'm going to go again with defaults. And I think the file system checks are 0 and 1. this is fine. So we can just save the file and exit here. There you go. So let's go back to our manual and see what we have. We have networking information, so the host name. So let's go to the terminal and choose our host name. So let's go there and type in nano-w and then /etc/conf.d and then host name and hit enter. So host name is now localhost. I'm going to change this. Let's call it Gentoo. You can, of course, choose your name here. And I'm going to save the file and exit. And I think the next step is the hosts file, if I'm not mistaken. We can skip the net here because we don't need a domain name. So we can skip this step and then configuring the network. Okay, so DHCP is used by default, but we're going to install this later with the networking tools. We need to install anyway this package. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's type in emerge and then --ask --no replace net-mish/net ifrc and then let's hit enter. So let's merge, let's add these packages. There you go. That was very fast anyway. Now I think we need to actually edit one file. Let me go back here and DHCP is used by default. We'll install this later. If the network connection needs to be configured because of specific options, then we need to configure this file, but we don't need this because it's going to be a specific option. So we can go to automatically start networking at boot. So we need to change directory and link our interface, our Ethernet interface in my case, and then start the service or update the RC with an OpenRC init system. So let's do that. Let's go to the terminal and type in cd/etc/init.d and hit enter. Then we need to type in ln-s. So we create a symbolic link here. And actually, I need to check out the name of my interface. Let me type in IP space A. And that is ENP0S3. So the link is going to be created with ln-s and then net.lo, that's the first interface, and also net.enp0s3. I think that's the correct one. There you go. We can hit enter. And now we can add the service basically to the OpenRC init. So let's type in RC update and then add net dot our Ethernet interface, which is ENP0S3, and then default. This is going to be our default interface and hit enter. There you go. It's added to the run level default. So we can clean up the terminal and go back to our manual. And next we need to work on the hosts file. So let's do that. Let's go back actually here to the home directory and type in nano-w and then /etc/hosts and hit enter. And I think what I'm going to do here, this is very similar to what we have in Arch. So I'm just going to add the last line here, 127.0.1.1. And the host name is Gentoo in my case, .local domain, tab again, and Gentoo again. And then we can save the file and exit. And let's go back to the manual. So PCMCIA, I can skip this. Our root password. Okay, so let's do that. Well, I need to create a root password. So let's type in passwd and hit enter. Enter the new password and retype it. There you go. Clean up the terminal again and go back to the manual and see what's next. So init and boot configuration. We need to review the settings here in the rc.com file. This is actually a file where many settings are there. As it says here, enjoy all the comments in the file, review the settings and change where needed. So I'm not going to change anything because I know it's going to work on my laptop and probably it's going to work most of the time. So I'm going to skip this step and I'm going to open this file because I need to change the key map. So the etc/conf.d key map. So let's go there. Let's type in nano-w and then /etc/conf.d and then key maps and hit enter. And my key map is actually de_ch-latin1. So you can also change your keyboard layout if you have another one here. And then we can save the file here and exit nano. And I think the next step is to actually change also the hardware clock by hitting up the last command here and replace key maps with HW clock. There you go, yeah. And clock is UTC. So set the clock to UTC if your hardware clock is set to UTC, also known as Greenwich Mean Time. If that clock is set to the local time, then set the clock to local. Note that if you dual boot with Windows, then you should set it to local. In my case, though, I'm going to leave it to UTC because it's fine. And I can just exit this file. There you go. So let's go back to our manual, installing tools. So let's go there. System logger. I think I'm going to install this. So we need to install the package and activate basically the service. So let's do that. Let's go back to the terminal and type in emerge --ask and then app-admin. And the package is sysklog-d, and then we can hit enter. So let's merge the package. There you go. This is going to take a second because it's only one package. It shouldn't take too long. There you go. And now we need to add this service to the RC update. So let's type in rc-update and then add sysklog-d and then default and hit enter. Oh, I forgot the D there at the end of sysklog-d and default. There you go. So let's clean up the terminal and go back to our manual. So optional cron daemon, I think I'm gonna skip this because I'm probably not going to use cron anyway. Actually, I will. Let's do that. So I'm gonna type in emerge --ask, then sys-process/crony and hit enter. So I'm gonna merge this as well. These are two packages. It shouldn't take too long either. I'll be back with you guys in a second. So this is done. Now we need to add actually crony to the RC. So let's type in rc-update again and then add and crony and then default and hit enter. There you go. Now next, let's see, file indexing. Oh, this is important. Let's do that. Let's type in emerge --ask sys-apps and then /mlocate and hit enter. Again, we're going to merge. This is just one package. It shouldn't take too long. There you go. Let's clean up the terminal. And I think the last step here is to actually install SSH, which I'm going to do. So let's do that. Let's go back to the terminal and type in rc-update and then add sshd default and hit enter. There you go. So let's go back to our manual and see what we can do next. So file system tools, you could have a look at this, some utilities for that, but I'm going to skip this. And now networking tools. This is important. We need to install DHCP. Now, DHCP is one possibility. You can install, of course, also Network Manager. So let's go ahead and install DHCP here. Let's do that by typing in this command. Let's go back here to the terminal and type in emerge --ask, then net-mish/dhcpcd and hit enter. So let's merge this package as well. This is only one package as well, so it shouldn't take too long. There you go. And let's clean up the terminal and go back to the manual. Now, this is important for you guys if you want to then install if you want to use the Wi-Fi. This is where you can install WPA supplicant, which will allow you to use wireless afterwards. Now, I'm not going to do this right now, but it's as easy as installing one package, and then you can follow the manual for WPA supplicant, which will explain you how you can connect to your Wi-Fi, which is actually not so difficult. So now we can go ahead and configure the bootloader. So let's do this. I'm going to use, of course, grub. Now, here we can actually, we have to be careful because I want to actually install this for the UEFI system. So what I'm going to do, I need to output this line to the make.com file for portage, and then I can install grub. Otherwise, if I forget this, I will install this first, and then I would have to again emerge another time grub update, basically the grub installation. So I'm going to use this command first and then emerge grub. Let's do that. Let's go back to the terminal, and I'm going to type in echo double quote single quote and then grub underscore platforms equal double quotes EFI dash 64, close the double quotes and close the single quote. And we are going to append this to slash etc slash portage and then make.conf and hit enter. And now we can emerge grub2. So let's type in emerge dash dash ask sys dash boot slash grub colon 2. And then we can hit enter. So let's merge. I think we have here some extra packages. So 6 packages, and if I'm not mistaken, grub is going to take some time to compile. So again, take a break, guys, and I will also take a break. I'll be back with you when it's done. So there you go, guys. Let's clean up the terminal here. And I think the next step is to install our grub bootloader, actually. So the installation, so if you have a legacy system, this is the usual command. And if you have an UEFI system, like in my case, this is also the usual command. So we specify the target and the EFI directory. So let's do that. One important thing though, before I start here, some motherboard manufacturers seems to only support the EFI boot directory location from the EFI for the EFI file in the EFI system partition. So the grub installer can perform this operation automatically with the removable option. So if you're not sure and if you or you know that your motherboard requires this, then add the dash removable option sorry, to the command that we will specify here. So let's go ahead and install grub. So let's type in grub dash install and then dash target equal x86 underscore 64 dash EFI, then dash EFI dash directory equal slash boot, and then we can hit enter. So it's going to take a moment to do that. There you go. Finish, no error reported. And the next step is to create our usual grub configuration file with the same command that we use all the time. So grub-mkconfig-o, and the output goes under slash boot slash grub.cfg, and then hit enter. So there you go. We have our images in there. So we can clean up the terminal and go back to the manual and see what we need to do next. So alternative bootloader Lilo. What do we have? EFI boot manager. I don't need this. SysLinux. I don't need that neither. Rebooting the system. Okay. So let's do that. So let's go back here to the terminal and do that. So let's type in exit. And I'm going to go back here to the home directory and type in umount. I'm just following the tutorial, the handbook here, -l and /mnt /gen2 /dev, and then the curly brace, and then /achem, comma, /pts, comma, and closing curly brace, and hit enter. And then we can type in umount -R /mnt /gen2 and hit enter. It's going to take a second, there you go. And now we can reboot the machine, guys. So if everything went well, we should be greeted by the bootloader, by the grub bootloader, which I cannot show you because it's on my laptop. So I'll boot up the machine, or better said, I will reboot the machine. And if everything went well, I will meet you back at the login prompt afterwards. So here we go, guys. I saw the grub bootloader and I logged in with the root user, and we are now in the new installation. So let's type in uname-r. And you can see this is the Gentoo kernel with the Gentoo hostname that I used during the installation. So let's go back to the manual and see what we have here, finalizing. So what we can do right now, we logged in already. And it says here, for instance, to create a user called Larry, who is member of the to the wheel group users and so on. We can use this command here. I'm not going to create a new user for now. And then we just need to clean up the root directory because we have still the tarball in there, if I'm not mistaken. Let's check this out. Let's go to the root directory here, yeah, you can see we have still the tarball, so we can remove that actually. Let's type in rm and then stage and whatever that is, and then hit enter. And then that is gone. There you go. So we have now a clean system. So let's go back to the terminal here and where to go from there. So here basically it says if you know, this is the base install, it's done. So if you want to continue installing other things, you can pick up from here and install eventually your desktop environments or something else. The next chapter is about Portage, the package manager, so I encourage you definitely to explore this. Now, this is gonna do it for this video, guys. I know it's kind of a long video, but Gentoo is not a short thing anyway, and I tried now to make it as concise as I could. If you try this out, let me know in the comments below how it's working for you, or if you are already a Gentoo user, let me know also in the comments below. Let me know your feedback, your suggestions, or help out somebody else in the community. Or if you are an expert in Gentoo, I would definitely appreciate also your feedback, because I'm sure that other people will benefit as well, and me too, since I'm not using Gentoo as my daily driver. So if you do that, I will be very thankful. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. So there you go, guys. This is the basic installation of Gentoo. If you try it out, let me know in the comments below how it's working for you. And if you are already a Gentoo user or a Gentoo expert, let me know also in the comments below. I want to know what you think about this distribution and why you like it so much. And I'm always interested to have a conversation with you guys. Again, let me say to all of you, happy holidays. I really hope you enjoy these days in safety. And as I said in the intro, I will publish one video per week, which is going to explore some other distributions. And I'll be back live at the beginning of January with a live stream where we're going to install Arch Linux. So thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and subs to the channel if you haven't already. Subs always helps us out. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by visiting our Patreon website, or you can donate via PayPal to our website as well. Thank you again so much for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.